Hey, good evening everyone. Welcome back to the Tamarack Trekkers. So we are actually on day 7. I haven't really had an opportunity to sit down and do a proper vlog, so I'm going to give you a recap of the last 7 days. Actually 9 days, because I'm going to go all the way back to us leaving Calgary. So back on April 8th, we flew out of Calgary, landed in San Diego, got our resupply, so that's day -2. On day -1, we were picked up by an awesome trail angel near the airport, and he took us all the way to the terminus. And from there, we hiked from the terminus to a campground called Cleef. We got orientated there that night, had some fun, met some new people, and on day 1, which was April 10th, we started our hike. Along the way, we ran into a rattlesnake, the first one of the trip, at mile 9.5, which Jody has some great footage of.
He might move.
He might. Probably will. There you go. Look, he's an old one. He's like he rattled. Keep going, buddy. As well, we continued on to mile 15.4. So that was a bit of a slog for us on the first day. Very hot heat. It was pushing 32, 33 degrees Celsius. Still a fantastic day. You know, great scenery for the desert. I had no idea the desert could look like it does. And so we stayed the night at Hauser Creek. And that was day 1. So on day 2, we got up pretty early, headed out from Hauser Creek. We traveled about another 14 miles to Kitchen Creek and spent the night there. Some climbing, some plains, like a little bit of everything in that hike. I'm not sure how much video we have of that because we were pretty busy hiking and not really videoing like we should have been. And that takes care of day 2. So on day 3, which was April 12th, we headed out from Kitchener Creek early in the morning. Like, we were up way before daylight to start hiking. And we hiked until we got to Mountain Laguna campground. We actually stopped at Mountain Laguna for resupply in a little store that was there. I believe we hiked to mile 56.5 that day. And as we were there at the campground, it was getting colder and windier, and a storm blew in overnight. Not just a storm that would last a couple hours, but we're talking overnight and into the next day, which we'll talk a bit more about on day 4. So anyways, that was our trip there. It was really interesting to see the difference from going from the mountain desert into a much higher desert area with the mountains having giant pine trees, which I'm hoping we'll have some pictures of we can post up throughout this video. And then from there, so we were up, I guess we were up around 6,000 feet at that point, which isn't really high by the standards we have in the mountains in Canada, but it was still pretty high and pretty chilly in places up there. So that was day 3. And then on day 4, which was April 13th, we woke up in the morning. Like I said, a storm had come in. It was quite wet. And the wind was howling, and it was cold. Like, we're talking almost a couple of degrees Celsius above freezing. It was not very nice. But we woke up, we packed up our stuff in the tent, and we just kind of sat and waited it out. And as soon as there was a break, we packed up our tent and got going. And as we were going, like, we saw some great scenery there. Like, there's some cliff edge hiking. There was just some great stuff. And then shortly after, as we're going, we're getting rained on and sleeted on. And even in our rain gear, we got quite wet. And the wind was howling. And we got to one point where we decided that we were too cold to continue. And it was a spot where we were going to get water right beside the highway, because it happened to have to cross the highway to get the water. And we decided to stop. And we called an outfitter at the closest town, which was Julian. And they actually arrived, they have trail angels that shuttle people back and forth between the trail and town. And we called them, and they had an availability, and they had sent somebody out, and in 20 minutes we were in Julian. And so we were in Julian for the night. We stayed in, we warmed up, we dried off our stuff, just had a great night in this little hotel. And that was our day 4. And then on day 5, we got up, we went down to the outfitter that helped us. Jody got some new shoes. I gotta tell you, check out her shoes. She's pretty proud of them. They really helped her feet a lot. Her feet are not hurting like they were before. So that's fantastic. And so we got back on trail where we left off, and we hiked to, I think, mile 71.2, I think, if I remember right. It was a pretty good trek for us. Made up some distance that we lost, and spent the night there. And that was day 5. Day 6, we woke up to a beautiful sunrise. Woke up before daylight again, and packed up. And as we finished packing up, the sun was shining there. They're starting to come up with the little crescent moon. Snapped a couple photos of that, and we bolted down to Scissor Crossing, which is right around mile 77. I had to cross the highway again there, and there was a fabulous person there with a trail name, Shortcut, who was providing trail magic. So I had an Arizona iced tea, a quesadilla, filled up some water, and we had a visit for a bit, and then we carried on. And we hiked all the way to mile 7. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to remember. We were on mile 91.4. And that was a pretty good slog that day. That was almost a 20-mile day for us. We got there was a whole bunch of people camped in the same spot. Great big camp area. It was beautiful. Nice to see all the other hikers there too. And we went to bed early, and that was our day 6. And then day 7, which is today, we got up. We hiked for about 18 miles, and we made it all the way to Warner Springs, which is at mile 109. Woohoo! We made it to 100. Well, time to carry on. Got there about 4:30. Ran in to the store at 5, to the community center. Checked it out. Got some resupply there, and headed back to our tent. So it was a good day. We're pretty tired by the time we got here today, and I think it was another pretty good day at 18 miles, or right around there. So one thing I didn't mention is we ran into another rattlesnake. This was back on day, I think it was day 5. It was day 5 when we got back on trail after the rainstorm. At mile 69.5, there was a rattlesnake, and he did not want to move off the trail. We stood there and we waited, and he wouldn't move, so we ended up having to go around him. And I got a good video of him that we'll post up too, and he looked angry, but he wasn't angry. I think he was just feeling cornered and wanted to make sure that we weren't going to tread on him. So I'm recording him first. Yeah. anyways, that's a wrap for us so far. We're sitting here at Warner Springs, just chilling out and getting ready to have it, go to bed and carry on tomorrow. Cheers.